a Martin.
So She Must Shall Go Free was my first solo record, and coming up on the 10-year anniversary of its release. And when I made that record, I was still in Caedmon's Call, actually. I was on one side of Nashville. I wasn't living in Nashville yet. I do now, but I was on one side of town working on the last Caedmon's record that I played on, and on the other side of town, I was working on my first solo record. And I was even dragging several Caedmon's members back and forth and had them playing on it. And but coming out of Caedmon's at the time, I was really into like Americana, roots rock. I'd pitched a bunch of roots rock and country folk records for the last Caedmon's record, which was called Long Island Leavers. But they weren't really, the band as a band weren't really in that place. We weren't doing a lot of that style. So they let one of my songs fly through as like a roots rock or a thing, and then we changed the rest of them. So I was really wanting to make a record in that style at that moment. And I had just moved to town, I think maybe. I was just new to Nashville, kind of getting my lay of the land meeting, trying to figure out who all the coolest musicians were. And as I was asking around for some musicians, because I knew I wanted to put together a really cool band, because I just come out of being 10 years in a band and really depended on musicians to help me. I mean, the songs just, I give the songs over, and then the musicians really have to all bring their personalities to it. And I don't know who I was as an artist, as a solo artist, by any means. I didn't know what I was doing yet, what I was going to do, what I wanted to do. I was just trying to make this one record. And so more than a handful of friends of mine told me when I started asking around, like where the guitar sound, the personality of the guitar work on this record is going to be so important. Who is that guy? And overwhelmingly, my friends told me I needed to meet this guy, Kenny Meeks, and that he basically, residing in his physical hands, was the sound of roots rock music, of Americana music. He embodied it. So I called him up. So we met by a handful of mutual friends, and we met up, and I think I played him some of the tunes. And I don't remember the circumstances of our first meeting, but I remember playing him some of the tunes, hearing what he was doing. And almost immediately I said, all right, you got to produce this thing. you just got it in over your head, because he knows that genre so well, and on his records, because he's a very accomplished artist in his own right, has a lot of great records out. He knows what he's doing.
As he talked about the influences, his influences and the direction he wanted to go, I thought, well, I don't get these calls every day. Usually I'm asked to be out of my element. So yeah, it was a very natural pairing.
So I pulled him in to produce. I produced a little. Matt Pearson, who was our bass player, is a legendary bass player in Nashville, played on so many legendary albums. We also pulled him in as well. And honestly, at any given moment, any one of the 5 or so of us who were playing the instruments could have produced in any given moment. But Kenny and Matt and I kind of produced, and so Kenny's guitar work became, just the sound of that record.
And I'll send out an army just to bring you back to me. 'Cause regardless of your brother